Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening. Hello and welcome back to Life After Plus One. I'm Leanne, your podcast host and your single parent mentor and coach. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that everyone seems to be talking about. And I feel like I say that with every episode lately, but let's be honest, everyone's talking about everything when it comes to single parenting because it's all I'm seeing on social media at the moment. People just saying, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, I'm about to go through my breakup, I'm too scared. But you know, that's what happens when you don't work on your relationship. I'm not here to encourage people to break up. I'm not here to want to see people get divorced. I'm here to help them when they do go through that. But it's up to you guys when you're in the relationship to make it work, because so many people think that when you're in a relationship, it's just going to last and it's just going to be happily ever after. You've got to put in the work. You've got to continue dating. You've got to continue having fun. You've got to continue having an enjoyable life together. If you let that just die off, then the relationship's eventually going to die off. And then you end up here with me. Hello, welcome. That's what I'm here for. But really, what you can take from this is when you do go back into the dating world and you do meet someone new and you do get remarried again, or maybe you have repartnered and you have remarried, take this on board as your reminder and your advice and your support to remember when you are in a new relationship, you can't just meet them, go on your dates, have a bit of fun, and then expect it to stay perfect like it was when you first met and expect those butterflies and everything else to last forever. It doesn't happen. You've got to put in the effort. So this is your reminder when you meet a new partner, put in the effort or you'll end up back here again wondering why. Now, one other thing I do want to mention before I jump into today's episode is I've had a lot of new followers come on board, whether it's on my podcast or my Instagram, excuse me. And I just do want to make it very clear that this is a very, very gender neutral place. Now, I say that because I do get a lot of comments from men directed at me thinking that I'm just having digs at men because I'm a female, which is not the case. And I'm not here to have a dig. I'm just here to really clarify that I'm here to support anyone. So if you know a male or if you know someone you think they need support, they're like, oh no, I won't go to her because she's just there to help women. No, I'm here to help everyone. I'm here to help anyone and everyone that's going through their breakup journey that's needing a bit of support. And when I do get that gender bashing comments on my, whether it be social media or anywhere, sometimes I do respond in a respectful way and just let them know that if you're carrying on like this, it's clear you've got a lot of anger to your ex that you need to work on. But if it's really nasty and bitter, I delete it. I don't want that negative drama on my social media or anywhere on any of my posts, because this is a supportive place. This is a place where I want people to feel comfortable to comment, to share their point of views, to share what they're going through. And for those of you that do follow me on Instagram at lifeafterplusone, I did put up a post recently just on the etiquette about changing surnames. And as simple as that sounds, and it's just a really simple question asking if people did that, I had to stop and think quite a number of times how to write that, because no matter what I was doing, it was coming across like I was directing it just towards women, because really it's only the women that have to change their names, not the men. Well, some do, some hyphenate it, but majority of the time it is a woman thing where they've got to change the name. They've got to pay for the changing back to their surname or their maiden name. They've got to change all their ID. And so I had to be careful with the way I worded it. I didn't want it to be directed at just women, even though it's mainly women that do go through it. But I wanted to hear the experiences of men and what they've been through with their ex-partners as well. And that's what I try to open up with everything I say when I'm asking for feedback. It's not so much don't comment because you're a male or don't comment because you're a female. I want everyone to get on board and share their opinions, because it can also help other people that are reading it as well, because sometimes people read those comments and go, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And it's nice to hear those comments from the other gender where people don't necessarily think of it from that perspective, because they're in their little bubble and they don't see it from how their ex might be seeing it. So it's good to get those opinions from both sides. So if you are listening and you do see things on social media and you don't want to comment because you think, oh no, I shouldn't, or I don't want to because I don't feel like it's directed at me, it's directed at anyone. It's directed at you. It's directed at anyone that's going through their breakup, that's needing that support. And if you've been through it already and you know what it's like, then share your feedback, share what you've gone through, because that can also help other people. And that's what this is for. I'm here to help and support people. But hey, I'm open to anyone and everyone sharing their experiences of what they've been through as well. So getting back to my point, this is very gender neutral to support everybody that's going through their breakup as a single parent. Now, that was a lengthy introduction. So let's get into today's episode, which is co-parenting with a narcissist. Now, this is one I did have to be a little bit cautious of, primarily because I didn't want it to make it a me episode, meaning I've been through this situation. So I didn't want to just make it about a me episode and my experiences, but I do want to talk about what it's like and how to go through it and how to handle it. And also I want to be cautious because that word gets thrown out there way too much these days. People just think that when someone's talking about them or when someone's showing more interest in themselves or they're excited about them, so they're talking about their scenario, or they're showing a lot of affection at the start, so they think, oh, they must be love bombing me. They're a narcissist. So you need to be really cautious before you label someone to really know, are they really a narcissist? Or are they just super keen to meet someone and they're just showing a lot of love and a lot of interest at the start? Are they a narcissist, or they just like to talk about themselves? Are they narcissist, or they just struggle to say, I'm sorry? There are so many different things that come with being a narcissist, and it's not about someone just having one of these things. It's about someone carrying all of these traits. That's what makes them a narcissist. And it is a personality disorder. It's not something you can medicate. It's not something they can just change out of. And it's something that they don't really recognize that they have because they don't take ownership. They don't take accountability. So I'm going to be careful with the way I word it. I don't want to upset people, and I don't want to make people think that this is a common thing that everyone has, or because you're hating your ex that they must be a narcissist. It's about actually dealing with someone who carries all those traits of being a narcissist, and how do you co-parent with someone who refuses to take accountability, who blames you for everything, who gaslights you, who manipulates you, who does anything and everything to make your life difficult. That is what we are going to talk about today.
Welcome to the Life After Plus One podcast, where we turn life's lemons into delightful lemonade. Get ready for inspiring stories, uplifting conversations, and all the tips and tricks to rock your single parent journey with style. I'm your host, Leanne, and it's time to embrace the adventure of Life After Plus One. So let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start off by talking about what is a narcissist, because as I said in the intro, it's not just someone that does a couple of things here and there that piss you off. It's someone that really, it's really obvious, and they do things that make you scratch your head and you think, what the fuck is happening right now? Because that's just it. That's what a narcissist does. They do things that are just so out of character and so out of this world that you just think, am I in a movie scene right now? And it's that ridiculous that sometimes, because I remember when I broke up with my ex and I was telling people about a scenario I went through, and I literally stopped myself halfway through. I thought, they are not going to believe this. My story sounds so ridiculous, what I'm saying right now, that they are not going to believe this. They're going to be looking at me thinking I'm an idiot. But it's true. And that's what happens. That's what they put you in. They put you in these most ridiculous situations and you think, what is happening right now? So what is a narcissist? Let's talk about it. A narcissist is someone that they feel unique. They feel they're above people. They feel they're more superior and important. And they will make sure that you know that they are superior to you. They are above you. They will make sure that you know that they are better than you. They judge others. They are very quick to judge and critique and comment on other people. They like to make sure that other people don't look as good as them or as important as them. So they will judge them. They will pick on little things. And if you pick them up on it, oh, don't say that. You shouldn't say that about them. Oh, what? I'm just saying. I'm just making a comment. They will just brush it off like it's just normal, like it's no big deal. But it is a big deal. You're bitching about your good friends. You're bitching about your family. You're bitching about someone who you're just smiling in front of a second ago. Don't do this. But that's what they do. And they just make it seem so normal. They are very self-centered and make everything about them. And when you're co-parenting with one, that makes it so difficult because they don't want to cooperate because it's always about them and their needs. And this is the other hard part as well when you're co-parenting. It quite often gets put ahead of their own kids' needs. them and their ego and their needs are put as a higher priority than their own kids. And that's one of the hardest things to cope with when you are co-parenting with a narcissist. You just think, how the hell can you forget what you're doing to your kids here? How can you overlook this for you, for yourself? And that's what they do, because it's that constant need to feel important, that constant need to look superior, that constant need to be validated. And they just always need and want that, even at the expense of their own kids. And it's really sad to watch. And they're very manipulative. They know how to play on your weaknesses. They know how to spot them early on, and they know how to play on that, and they know how to use that against you. And when you break up, and which you probably have because you're now co-parenting with one, they know how to use that against you. All these secrets that you told them, all your weaknesses that you let them into and you told them about, you let your guard down and you shared everything about them, or about yourself, I should say, and you shared all your stories and let them in. And now all of a sudden they've flipped the script and they're telling everyone all these things about you, which is something you opened up in secrecy about. You were trusting of them and you felt comfortable to talk to them about this stuff. Now they're using it as ammo to use against you in your breakup. That's what they do. They manipulate things to always get their way. Their world is always about them. How can they win? How can they get what they want? And another thing that you'll see in a narcissist is they think the rules don't apply to them. They think they're above the rules. They think they can make the rules and they can do whatever they want. Oh, that doesn't matter. I can do that. They think they're above whatever rule or law is put into place. Now, there are certain names that I can throw out right here just on what we know as a society and people that we see in media quite often, but I'm not going to do it because I don't want to get into any kind of political debate or anything like that. But there are people out there that are very narcissistic and we see in the news, in the media on a daily basis. And you just think, how are you getting away with this? What is wrong with you? And they just think they're more superior. They think they've got more power. They think they're above anyone and everyone and they can do whatever they want. And that is a real narcissistic behavior. And another thing that you will notice is they are very sensitive to criticism. You do not criticize a narcissist because they don't like it. I mean, at the end of the day, no one likes to be criticized. But if you do towards a narcissist, it's never taken on board as constructive feedback or just some advice or just having a conversation. If you're saying something to a narcissist that they don't agree with, or they take it as a personal dig or a personal attack on them, they will attack you back. They will come back at you. They won't just smile and go, oh, okay. They are very sensitive to any kind of criticism or feedback towards themselves directly. So that kind of sums up the main characteristics of a narcissist. Now, there are things that they do in a relationship that are related to those things, which are things that I said at the start, like the love bombing, the gaslighting, the manipulation. These are all things that come under that umbrella of those traits. And when you first meet one, you think they're the best thing since sliced bread. You're like, wow, what is happening? I've only just met you and you're already buying me a toothbrush to keep at your house. Yes, that happened to me. Date number 2, he bought me a toothbrush to keep in his house. I'm like, what? Bit too soon, but okay. And that's what they do. They love bomb you to make you feel like you need them. You have to have them. Your world is revolved all around them. And that's what they make you think. And just like, wow, what is happening? And so when you leave, they make you feel like you have to be dependent on them. They don't like you leaving because you're hurting their ego. No one leaves them. They can leave, but you don't leave them. And if you leave them, they will make that hard for you. But let's really cut back to what the topic is about, which is actually co-parenting with a narcissist. Co-parenting with someone that has absolutely no intentions on ever cooperating with you. Someone that never wants to meet you in the middle. Someone that's always going to prove you wrong. Someone that is always going to villainize you. You are always going to be the bad parent. And when you're going through a breakup, you're already an emotional mess. Your whole world has just shattered. And now on top of that, you're trying to get your shit together. You're trying to build your life up. And here is this person on the sidelines just constantly kicking you down, constantly kicking you in the guts, making life 1,000 times harder than it needs to be, all for their own ego, all to show that they're a better person, all to show that they're the better parent, all to make you look like shit so they can feel good. And it's a really sad, disgusting mentality that is the lengths that people go to just to feel good in themselves. When really, co-parenting is about coming together to cooperate, to work together for your kids. But when you're co-parenting with a narcissist, it is next to impossible to actually come together for your kids because they don't want to see your side. They don't want to see things from your perspective. They don't want to hear what you're saying because even though what you're saying can help them, they still think you're having a dig at them. They still think you're criticizing them. They still think you're making fun of them or mocking them. When even though you're not, you might be giving them the best support ever. You might be giving them what they need to help build a relationship with their kids, but they just don't want to listen because they think that you're having an attack on them. They think you're having a dig at the way they parent. And when you're first going through your breakup, and even for years on, it's a lot to really process, and it's a lot to really get your head around because it's very easy just to think that they're having a dig at you, they're having a personal attack at you, and sometimes they are, but there is only one way to get through this without losing your mind, and that is to emotionally detach yourself. And yes, that sounds easier said than done, but that is the only way to get through a co-parenting relationship with a narcissist. Totally emotionally detach yourself from them, meaning that no matter what they say, no matter what they do, no matter what they think, no matter who they talk to, you do not have a reaction because you are just so emotionally detached from them that you just think, oh, well, whatever, that's their choice. Okay. And you might think, yeah, I can do that. That's no problem. But when it comes down to it, like they will find ways to really get under your skin. And what's even more surprising is when you get to a place when you feel good, you're like, yep, I'm there. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they think. They will find a way back in. And more often than not, that way is through your kids. If they are not getting a reaction directly from you, they will get a reaction from you through the kids. And again, another very sad way of dealing things and a sad way of being a parent. Because when you're co-parenting with a narcissist, it's like you're parenting them because they're the ones behaving like a child. And when I say that, they will start getting to you through the kids, meaning they will start messing up the kids' plans. They will start doing things that will make you have a reaction without doing it directly to you. It'll be indirectly through the kids, whether that means they make promises for the kids and then it messes you around so then you get a reaction and you then message them. Or whether it be something like they need something, but they don't tell you, they just tell the kids. And it's something that should be discussed between adults, not the kids. Like maybe it's planning a holiday. Maybe it's going somewhere. Maybe it's something about a big, like a medical thing or medical treatment or something to do with school. And they haven't discussed it with you. They've only discussed it with the kids. Because realistically, there are things that should only be discussed between adults. Kids don't need to take on the responsibility of worrying about planning holidays or medical things or school responsibilities. That's not their problem to worry about. They are kids. So if you're not reacting to anything that they're doing or saying, they will find a way to get to you, to trigger you. And even though it sounds easy to say, yeah, that's fine, I can just let it go. I don't need to react to anything that they say or do. You'll be very surprised at how good they are at weaseling their way in. So really, going back to the start, when you first break up and you're co-parenting with someone, it is very difficult. They will go above and beyond to make your life difficult. And I even mentioned this story once in one of my old podcasts, I think one of the episodes way back at the beginning. And I left my daughter's father with nothing. I just could not be asked fighting for anything. I quite often look back and think, why did I do that for? But in that moment, I was mentally and emotionally exhausted. I have nothing more to give. I'm like, I'm out. Take what you want. I don't care. I just want my daughter. I want my clothes, and I am out. And that's all I did. So it just kind of blew me away that even after all that, even after I left with nothing, he still went above and beyond to make my life difficult. It's like, could it not get any more difficult than pretty much being close to being homeless? You are still kicking me in the guts when I'm down. And sadly, that's what they do. There is no compassion. There is no empathy there. There is no shit. Okay, I'm sorry, what can I do? Like in a normal person, if you're going through a breakup with someone and they might see that you're borderline being homeless, they might go, okay, well, I'm sorry, shit, I didn't realize it was that bad. What can I do? Not with a narcissist. They don't have a level of compassion or empathy or sympathy or anything like that. It doesn't exist. So that's the hard part of coming to grips when you're breaking up with someone, when you're going through this co-parenting and they are going above and beyond to make your life difficult. And it's the same process that you've really got to learn to adjust to, which is really hard when you're at the start of your breakup or in those early stages, because you're already emotionally, your head's a mess. It's an emotional roller coaster. You're all over the place thinking, how the hell am I even going to make it to tomorrow? And then you've got this person constantly having digs at you, making you feel worse than what you need to be when you're already at your lowest. So how do you just emotionally detach yourself from someone when you're not in an emotional headspace to even think about doing that? Because when you're there, when they're just digging at you, you are straight away in defense mode. You just want to protect yourself and you want to protect your kids. So when you're going through a breakup, when you're in the early days and you're an emotional mess, your first instinct is to defend and protect, which is standard and that's normal. That's what anyone would want to do. And especially when you're hearing them say things about you that are not true. You're hearing them make you out to be the bad parent. You're hearing them say nasty stuff. They're doing things to make your life difficult. And it's very easy to say, yep, just emotionally detach yourself. But when you're not in that right emotional headspace, how do you emotionally detach yourself from that? Because it's not easy. It is not easy. You can say, yep, don't respond, but they keep going. And when you're not there, you're still going through that emotional roller coaster and you just think, yep, sure, that's fine. I can just emotionally detach and I'll just stop responding to their messages, which is great. And that's how you start. And I don't mean ignoring them completely. I mean ignoring any contact that's not related to the kids or any contact that doesn't need to be responded to. So when you ignore that, and they know how to feed off your weaknesses. So if they see that you're not in a good headspace, they will keep going to get a reaction from you. They will do whatever it takes. And it can be anything, by talking about people that you're dating. Even if you're not dating, they will come up with these most random things to get a reaction from you. So you can ignore a message, you can ignore a message, and then boom, they've sent something that's triggered you and you're like, holy fuck, no way, I am not tolerating this. And then bam, that cycle has begun again, or that constant back and forth battle between both of you because they've finally triggered you. That is what they do. In their eyes, they've won because they've made you look like the crazy ex. It is a roller coaster. It is so hard to manage when you're already trying to manage so much on your own. And the thing is, and I've mentioned this a few times in previous episodes, when I first went through this, my daughter is 12 now, and I officially broke up with her dad just after her first birthday. Mind you, I easily had about 15 breakups before then. Believe it or not. That's how much it was over. He kept convincing me it'll work. We can make it work. And I, in my head, thought, no, I don't want to be a single parent. I wanted to make it work. I saw how tough my mum did. She was a single mum. No, I'm going to make this work. And if only I knew back then what I know now. Because if nothing is changing in the relationship, if nothing is changing between either of you, then nothing is going to change in the relationship. You can't just think, yep, it's going to change. Yep, it's going to happen. Yep, they're promising that they're going to make it different when nothing is actually changing. So I kept convincing myself, yeah, maybe it would work. But no, it didn't. But when you're going through that, you are mentally and emotionally at rock bottom. So it is not easy to just emotionally detach yourself, because they will make sure that you don't. They will make sure you are clinging onto them in some way, shape, or form. And it could be something as minor as guilting you about the child support. It could be something about depriving you of seeing the kids. It could be about depriving of anything, financial commitments with the kids, anything. They will find a way to get to you. So it's very easy to say, just emotionally detach yourself. Because when you're later down the track, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3, maybe 5 years, you're more at a place where, you're at a place where your life is more secure, I should say. You're steady, you're set, you've got your life built up. You're now in your steady momentum of having life on your own without them. And you're a lot more safe and a lot more secure and a lot more settled. But when you're first broken up, you're still not there yet. You're still not in the process. You're still getting your head around it. You're still adjusting to life being a single parent. You're still trying to get your shit together. You're working out your finances. You're working out everything. And you're just confused about life. You're confused about everything. You're confused about how to be a single parent. You're confused about what to do. So as soon as they come in and poke you, boom, you're triggered. It is not easy to emotionally detach yourself at that stage, because they will guilt you about things. They will talk to you about things that are just not appropriate or not relevant. They will blame you for things. So how do you get through this? Because I keep saying emotionally detach yourself. And yes, when you're later down the track and you don't have any need to rely on them for things, then it is much easier. But even so, even people that have been co-parenting with a narcissist for years, they still have that, not so much attachment, they still have that need to rely on their ex, on their co-parent. And that is the biggest thing that you need to do. You need to learn to stop relying on them for anything. That is the biggest tip I can give you when you are co-parenting with a narcissist. Do not rely on them for anything. And you might be thinking, well, fuck, Leanne, it's a parent. It's the kid's other parent. Of course I'm going to have to rely on them. I'm telling you now, as someone that's been there, and as someone that's been doing it for 11 years, and someone that's seen the worst of the worst, and someone that's also trained in this area and deals with this all the time, every day, you need to learn to not rely on them for anything. And I remember my first wake-up call to this statement was not long after I first broke up. And I had a discussion, a phone call with someone from child support, because we were doing private collect. We weren't going through child support. We were doing it mutually. He agreed to pay X amount. One day he got the shits and just decided he didn't want to make payments anymore. And I'm like, nah, doesn't work like that. That's not going to happen. I called up child support. And back then, this is years ago, I was an emotional mess. And she said to me, you need to not rely on his payments. And I'm thinking to myself, who's this bitch? Who does she think she is? What does she mean I should not rely on his payments? Of course I should. He's the dad. Of course he should be providing for his daughter. And then it took me some time to really process it and really think about it. And, it did hit hard. It did trigger me a little bit in the moment. And I know that comment would trigger a lot of people thinking the same thing as what I thought back then. But it is true to a degree that, yes, child support is something that should be paid for the kids. But back to that comment when she said don't rely on those payments, it just made me think, okay, yeah, that's true. Those payments should be made. But me sitting here expecting that monthly payment and it not turn up, it's only going to let me down. It's only going to upset me if it doesn't come through. I've got to find a way to make it work with or without him. So from that point on, I had to find a way where I could make sure everything was all done without him. And if he paid child support, then that was a bonus. So that was a real wake-up call for me. And that was a real kind of reality check. Do not rely on him for anything. And that's just it. When you're expecting them to turn up at a specific time and they say, yep, I'll be there at 7 o'clock, 7:30, and they still haven't turned up. And if you know that they're this kind of person that are constantly going to let you down, they're constantly going to manipulate you, they're constantly going to flip the script to make it about them, then you need to learn to not rely on them. And yes, I get it. They are the parent. You should be able to rely on them. But sadly, you cannot change them. You cannot force them to step up. You cannot force them to be a better parent. You cannot change anything. It is really hard, and it's a real hard pill to swallow, really, to see that they're not stepping up to be the better parent for your kids. They do not see it that way. You give them any feedback like that, saying this is for your kids, not for me. They still see that as you giving them criticism. You are giving them negative feedback that they don't want to hear. They will not take that on board. They will not say, maybe they're right. Maybe I do need to be a better parent. Maybe I do need to do this. Maybe I do need to do that. They are not going to listen. So, the first step to emotionally detaching yourself from a narcissist is to learn to stop relying on them. Stop relying on them for anything. If you have plans when it comes to co-parenting, pick up or drop off, or plans with school, or plans with anything for the kids, and you know they're going to let you down, or you know that they have a tendency in not turning up or changing the plans or being late, then have a backup plan. Don't rely on them. If there's something for the school and you're relying on them to be there, but you know they've got a habit of not turning up or they've got a habit of being late, then make another arrangement. If they turn up, good. If they don't, so be it. Don't rely on them for anything. And I know that question or that statement is going to keep going in your head, but Leanne, they're the parent. It is mind-boggling, isn't it? It is absolutely mind-boggling that you cannot rely on the other parent to be there for your kids. When you are co-parenting with a narcissist, you cannot rely on them for anything. It is all about them and their ego and how they look. That's it. Because when they do things and they let you down, or they try to gaslight you because they've done something wrong, but they'll make it out to be your fault. They will put you in a position where you constantly feel crazy, and then you want to take it out on them. You want to message them. You want to let them know how pissed off you are. You want to tell them that's not good enough. They are not just going to sit back and take it on board and go, yeah, okay, thanks, Jane. I appreciate that advice. They will not. They will not give two shits about the way you feel. They won't go, oh no, I've upset her. Oh shit, I shouldn't have been late. They will not care. And yes, it is sad when it comes to their own kids. But that is not their priority. They can say it's their priority, but this is something that I always talk about. Actions speak louder than words. If they are going to be there for the kids, if they want to put their kids as their first priority, then they need to start stepping up and they need to show it. By constantly being late, by constantly letting the kids down, by constantly not providing for the kids, that is not showing that they're putting the kids as priority. And when they're not doing that, you need to learn to stop relying on them. Fuck it, I'll just do it myself. I will do it myself. I don't need it. Don't need it. And that's when you are able to get yourself at a better place emotionally and mentally. If they step up, great. If they don't, then you're not let down because you know you haven't been relying on them for something that they're going to let you down for. And yes, it is difficult. And it takes a lot of time to actually process the idea of not being able to rely on the other kid's dad or the other kid's mum to help with things for your own kids. It is mind-boggling how people can have that kind of mentality, but it does exist and it happens. And the saddest part about all of this, when the kids start to get to their pre-tween age, their teenage years, they start to see this. They start to see what is happening, and I can guarantee it, they don't like it. They don't like it. Now, you will get some kind of narcissists that do try to brainwash the kids. They do try to put things in the kid's head. But when that happens, and it will happen, and they will say things to try and rattle you and to try and rattle the kids, especially when they're not getting a reaction from you. They will try to get a reaction from somewhere. And if it's asking the kids questions about you, if it's trying to, put things into their head, or they're trying to get information from them, don't have a reaction, first of all. And it's very tempting to do that when the kids come back to you and you hear that they've asked them certain questions that are just not appropriate. Your first reaction is, right, I'm going to message them and tell them. Honestly, that would be a normal thing to do. In normal everyday life, if someone did something that wasn't appropriate, you'd be inclined to say, hey, listen, that's not cool. I don't like that. But in saying that, one thing I have learnt when dealing with a narcissist is if you want to get your point across to them, if you want to tell them something that's not right, something that you don't agree with, straight up, do not talk about your feelings because they don't care. Do not talk about how it's made you feel. This makes me upset. I don't like it, because in normal day life, that's what you would do. That really hurt me, or that kind of upset me. They don't care about your feelings. If you want to address something to a narcissist, do not talk about how it made you feel, and do not talk about them. Do not make any direct comment or accusation or give any input about the way you think of them as a person. If you tell them straight up how it is, or what you're wanting, what you agree with and what you disagree with, and say this is not okay, they will take that on board. They don't like hearing about feelings. They don't like hearing about how it's made you feel. They don't like you having any kind of comment about them. Now, I'll give you another example about this, because this is something I had to deal with recently. My ex was talking to my daughter through text about a holiday, an overseas holiday. And he was talking to her about her passport. Her passport's expired. He's trying to talk to her about things about what she needs to do. And I'm like, well, no, she can't do this. She's a kid. This is something you need to talk to me about. And she came to me and said, Mum, I don't know what to do. This isn't for me. I don't want to answer these questions. And so I sent him a message, and I told him straight up, this is not okay. If you want to have any questions, or if you have any questions regarding adult matters for our daughter, you need to come to me directly. This is not a matter that she needs to handle. You speak to me, or you don't ask at all. End of story. When you're dealing with them, you've got to have a resolution. Don't just come back with your feedback. Don't just come back and say, I don't like this, you can't do this, you can't do this. The problem was with my scenario, her passport expired. He filled in the paperwork, but he didn't sign his part. He left it blank. So he was expecting me just to go finish it off, but I couldn't because he didn't sign it. So I told him straight up, do not message her about this. This is not her problem to solve. This is something you need to message me about. You are taking her on a holiday. You need to talk to me about this. And if you want the paperwork signed because you didn't finish it off, then I will leave it under my doormat on this day. And then you need to drop it back ASAP and let me know what day you're dropping it, so I know when it's going to be there and I know when to look for it. And his response was, okay, thank you. So that's just it. When you're dealing with a narcissist, you do not talk about feelings. You do not talk about them directly. You talk about the situation and you provide an outcome. That's how you can deal with a narcissist. If you feel like you have to communicate with them, when you're at a place where, yes, you shouldn't rely on them for anything. But if there are things such as passports and certain issues with kids that you do need to rely on them for, unfortunately. And with those things, you just need to be firm. You do not talk about your feelings. You do not talk about their feelings. You do not talk about what it's made you feel or it's made you upset or how long it's dragged on for. You just give straight, clear points about what you're at. And it's like I've always say as well, it's like you're dealing with a business transaction. Just give clear, direct points, what's happened, what needs to be done, and give a resolution. That's it. No feelings, no emotions, no thoughts on them. This, done. That's it. There is no opportunity for them to come back at you. There's nothing for them to have a dig at you for because you've given them no information about how it's made you feel. You've given them no information about what you think of them. You've just told them, yep, if you want this done, this is what you need to do. You need to do it by then. That's it. Done. And if it's something that it doesn't need a resolution, if it's something that they're just nitpicking at, then you don't even need to respond. That is something you don't engage in. You just detach yourself from that. So when you're co-parenting with a narcissist, there's always going to be things that pop up. There's always going to be something. And when they think that you've totally just let them go, you think they think that you're no longer dependent on them, they will find something to get at you. They will find a way to trigger you. And with my scenario here, it was my daughter's passport and her high school fees. Because he's seen that I haven't been interacting, he's seen that I haven't been engaging, I haven't been triggered, I haven't been doing anything that's shown any kind of anger, frustration. I've had no emotion. If I've had to be in contact with him, it's just straightforward, yes, no, whatever's needed. So when it came to my daughter's high school, he's decided he doesn't want to pay high school fees or doesn't want to go halves in high school fees. That should be on me in his eyes. And that, for me, is his way of trying to trigger me and trying to get a reaction. I could fight it. But really, that's what he wants. And I don't care. I'm learning not to rely on him for anything. Now, you might be thinking, Leanne, that's bullshit. Why should you have to pay? And part of me thinks, well, actually, a lot of me thinks, exactly, why should I have to pay? I've left with nothing. I've rebuilt my life from scratch. A suitcase of clothes and my daughter. I have been at the lowest of lows. And here he is, still trying to make my life financially difficult when I am the one doing everything to give this girl the best possible life. But he is still trying to see me suffer financially. He is still trying to kick me in the guts. He wanted a reaction from me. The reaction he got from me was no reaction. If you don't want to pay school fees, piss off. My daughter's seen this. My daughter's heard the conversations. He's told my daughter and she sees this. She's even come home and said to me, Mum, he doesn't even know anything about what I'm doing. He hasn't asked anything. So you might think, Leanne, that's not fair. Why should you have to put up with this? Or why should I have to do the same thing? That's not right. I mean, hey, you don't have to do that. You are more than welcome to keep going and fighting for what you are deserving of and what you are worthy of, 100%, because I'm all for fighting for your self-worth, having your boundaries, speaking up for yourself. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, it's a whole different ballgame. And for me, my peace of mind always comes first. And my happiness, my mental happiness, my emotional state, it all comes first. Yes, he is weaseling his way out of a lot of responsibilities, pretty much all of his parenting responsibilities. And he thinks just by paying his monthly child support fees that that's his parenting duty done. There is a lot more to being a parent than just paying child support, I can tell you that. I am more than happy to suck it up and pay those school fees. Pay those school fees. My daughter sees that he is in a far better financial situation than what I am, but he still doesn't step up. And that's a sad thing with dealing with a narcissist. They think that doing things for the kids is doing things to help you out. Where in normal everyday life, in someone that doesn't have this narcissistic personality disorder, they're like, okay, what does the kid need? I'm happy to do it. Tell me. And it sucks. They are constantly going to mentally and emotionally drain you. They are going to suck the life out of you. You have a choice in how you choose to handle it. Do you want to keep fighting with it? Because they are not going to change. Nothing about them will change. The sad thing is you've just got to suck it up and accept you've met a fuckwit of an ex that is doing anything to make your life difficult. Excuse my language, but that is true. And sadly for them, their priority is looking good. Their priority is their image for other people. And if something doesn't go right to the point that the kids don't want to go there or something's happened, it is not their fault. It is always going to be your fault. And you'd fight for your kids. That's what you do. You fight for your kid thinking you just want them to have a better parent. This is the hard thing to accept. They are not going to listen to you. They don't want feedback on how they parent. They don't want to hear your criticism about the way they parent. They are not just going to turn around and go, yeah, they're right, I'm not being a good parent, because they won't. In their eyes, they are not doing anything wrong. They are not going to change. Constantly questioning them about what they do, telling them what they can do to be a better parent, they're not going to listen. They will not listen. They just think blah, 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 blah. They're saying this about me. They disagree with me. Who do they think they are? They are not going to listen, because this is the whole thing of narcissistic personality disorder. They think they're superior. They think they're untouchable. They think they're above everybody. They do not see that they're doing things wrong. Or they do and they know it, but they're not going to admit it. Either way, you're not going to get a positive result by talking to them about this. You are not going to get anything good come from this if you let them know how it's making you feel. So when you're co-parenting with a narcissist, it is a whole different ballgame, and it's not a fun one. So the best thing you can do when you are co-parenting with one is, one, stop relying on them for anything. And when they let you down, don't even tell them how it makes you feel, because they don't care. Just take it on board with a grain of salt and make your life work without them. Make your life work without them. That's it. And it's sad, because really all you want is for your kids to have the two parents there. You want them to have that role model for both sides. But you can't force that other parent to step up if they're not going to. It's not going to happen. And you have two choices here. You have one where you can just ignore it, let the kids think that's normal behavior, and just keep sweeping it under the carpet and keep enabling that behavior. Because that's what it does. When you just keep ignoring it and you just keep pretending like it's not happening, you're showing the kids this is okay, this is normal behavior. If that's what you want to do, then that is your choice. You are more than welcome to do that. Or you can do the other option, which is you can identify these behaviors to the kids and say, I don't agree with that. This is not something we allow in our house. And this is not a behavior I want to see from you. And it's okay to address behaviors that are not right. It's okay to address things that have happened when the kids are not happy. Now, I'm not saying you need to sit here and throw your ex under the bus and say they're an asshole, they've done this, they've done that. No, but when your kids start coming to you and asking you questions, asking why the other parent said these things, asking why they're doing that, telling you that they're saying them certain things to them, they're questioning them about things, they're asking them things that are inappropriate, things that you shouldn't know about you, or about things that are just not child appropriate. These are times that you can have those discussions with the kids, saying that's not things you should be getting involved in. If they ask you these questions, just shut it down and don't answer it. Or you tell them to come and ask me. That's how you approach it. And that's when the kids start to recognize this is not okay. Because the kids will start coming to you and asking you these questions. They've spoken to me about this, or why are they doing this? Or how come they're not turning up? Or how come they keep changing plans? So this is where you need to decide, are you going to address these behaviors that are not right? Are you going to say, you know what, we don't agree with that, that's not right? Or are you just going to say, maybe they'll turn up tomorrow, maybe they'll turn up next week, and keep giving that false hope? It's up to you how you choose to handle it with your kids. Why? Why is this happening? Why is that being said? Why are they doing that? And it's hard, because you want to give your kids the best possible life. You want your kids to have a good role model, but it's not your job to overcompensate for a parent that's not stepping up. So really, at the end of the day, it's just like I was saying, one, stop relying on them. Stop relying on them. Find a way to make your life work without them, and emotionally detach. When they do let you down, even though you've learned not to rely on them, when they do let you down, don't let it trigger you. Because when you get to that place when you've got no emotional attachment, you don't even need to message them. You don't even need to say anything. It's just like, yeah, well, I'm not surprised. I kind of expected that. And again, yes, that's a sad place to be when we're seeing your kids constantly let down by their other parent. But when you're prepared for that and you know what to expect and you've got something planned, something backed up, or another option, or another like a plan B put in place, then you're not going to get let down and your kids are not going to let down. But if you're sitting here relying on someone that's constantly letting you down, then you're constantly also setting your kids up for failure, because even though it's not you doing it, you're constantly relying on someone that's going to constantly let you down. You're getting let down. Your kids are getting let down. At some point, you've got to draw the line and say, not tolerating this anymore. This is not okay. And if you're not comfortable with straight up just stop relying on them, then you start by setting boundaries. If you want the kids, this is the time. If you're not here by this time, then I'm gone. It's not happening. I've got plans on. I can't sit around waiting. And that's the biggest thing, because they shuffle things. They make things to try and work around them, because it's a way to trigger you. If you set a time, they'll either come really, really early when you're not ready, or they'll come much later when they know you've got plans. So it comes down to saying, okay, we said 9 o'clock. You can go for a drive and come back at 9 o'clock. Set some boundaries in place. Then they'll learn that way very quick, smart. And don't make it about, well, I'm not happy. You've turned up an hour early. They don't give a shit about that. You tell them straight up, no, we set 9 o'clock. Go for a drive, come back. Set your boundaries and be firm with that, because they will try to walk all over you. And the more you talk about how it makes you feel, the less they care. Emotionally detach yourself. When you're talking to a narcissist, do not have any feelings or let them know how it makes you feel, because they don't care. Straight black and white answers. Nope, don't agree. This is what needs to happen. That's it. Just tell them bullet points, business kind of chat, conversation about this is what's happened. This is the outcome. That's it. And when I say this is the outcome, say this is what needs to happen. That's what you agreed. That's what you've spoken about. That's the result you want. Them to come back at 9 o'clock. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. Make it straight. Make it direct. Make it no emotions at all. Make it no critique on them. Well, why did you come at an hour early? Why did you do that? If you start questioning the why, when, how, if you start questioning them about anything, they will twist it on you. The whole gaslighting thing will start. Well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? I knew you'd be home anyway. They'll make it onto you to make you look crazy. You'll get shitty. You'll get frustrated. So be firm about it. Be firm about anything. And now I'm not just saying when they turn up an hour early. It could be with anything. Nope, this is what we agreed. This is what's happening. I'll see you then. Done. Boom, boom, boom. And remember, just keep that about things that you need to communicate with about the kids. If there's things that you don't need to interact with or communicate about, then don't. Cut it off completely. Cut it off. If you know there's someone that's going to manipulate you, that's going to twist things, that's going to use your words against you, then don't talk to them about your personal life. Because a good chance they will use it against you. They will weaponize it against you. Don't talk to them about your personal life. Keep it very direct. Keep it very straightforward. And like I said, keep it very businesslike. Just to the point and what the outcome is that you're after or that you've discussed. That's it. And that's how you co-parent with a narcissist. Don't rely on them. Emotionally detach yourself. And when you do need to communicate, keep it very direct. Keep it honest. Have an outcome, and don't talk about your feelings and don't talk about how you feel about them. Because in their eyes, they're not being a bad parent. They don't see anything wrong with it. Do not talk about what they're doing wrong. Let them sort that shit out. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up there. But for those of you that are co-parenting with a narcissist, I feel you. It is not a fun place to be. But it's only hard when you make it hard, or when they try to make it hard for you. And when they do, don't engage. Don't let them in. Don't let them in. Don't let them trigger you. They will try and find ways, especially when you start to step back and you start to learn to not rely on them. You start to learn not to communicate with them as much. You start to learn to not get involved in those little questions that they ask to try and nitpick at you. They will start to see that and they'll find little ways to get in. They'll find little ways to try and trigger you. Don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. Just keep it very businesslike and keep yourself emotionally detached. And remember, I'm not telling you to do this with everyone. It's only if you're really co-parenting with that narcissistic kind of person that does do this. Well, I won't say narcissistic kind of person. I will say you're co-parenting with someone who has a narcissistic personality disorder, because it is extremely difficult. It's not fun. It's not easy. And if anything, it's actually quite disturbing seeing how people can do these things without processing how it affects other people around them. It's really disturbing to watch, but it's not your job to fix. And that's the hard thing. And that's quite often why some people stay with narcissists for so long, because you think you can fix them. You think you can change them. You think they can just be a more happier and more enjoyable person to be around. You think that you can make them more positive. You can't. I'm sorry. You can't. Because they don't see anything wrong with what they're doing. And that's what you've always got to remember. They're not wrong. In their eyes, they're superior. In their eyes, they're amazing. In their eyes, they're this great person that everyone should look up to. And if you say anything wrong or bad about them, boom, you're the worst person in the world. Okay? So just don't rely on them. Keep communication very cut and dry, very black and white, and emotionally detach yourself. And when I say emotionally detach yourself, it means when they say things to you, like they might talk about your appearance, they might talk about someone that you're dating, they might talk about anything at all about your personal life, where at one stage you might have been inclined to respond and defend yourself, where when you hear it now, you're just like, nah, I don't care. I'm not bothered. Okay? So if that's you and if that is where you're at, then I get you. I'm sorry, it's hard. But if you're still at a place where you can't let go, you can't emotionally detach, they send you messages and you still keep wanting to respond, you still keep wanting to prove your point, you still keep wanting to defend yourself, and you just can't process the fact that they're not putting their kids as a priority, then let's have a chat. Because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you get through this, because it is difficult. It is extremely difficult, especially when you're going through life on your own and then you've got them. They're constantly kicking you back. You take 10 steps forward and all of a sudden they pop up again. It's like 50 steps backwards again. It's like far out. How can I make progress when this person's constantly just kicking me? So if that is you, let's have a chat. I have a free one-on-one chat available where we can have a chat just to see if this is what you're after, if we align, how this can help you going forward. And then we put some steps in place. We have a look at your situation. We talk about where you're at and what we can do to help you to make those little changes and those little mindset shifts, so you can start dealing with things in a better way, so you're not getting so affected by it. You can emotionally detach yourself. You can learn to stop relying on them, because you want to get to a place where you can start enjoying life. But when you constantly got them in your ear, it's very hard to enjoy your life. You can let go. You can move forward. You can have life, or an amazing life, even when you co-parent with a narcissist. You've just got to learn to let that go and live life for you and live life for your kids. So please reach out if you are wanting some help with that. All my details are in my show notes, and I do have a link there for that free one-on-one chat. So jump on, book that in, and let's see how we can help you going forward. That's about it for me, guys. And realistically, I could go on for hours about narcissism. I really could. There is so much more I could talk about. There is just so many little things and traits and habits that they do. It is a fascinating topic, because it's so bizarre how someone can see how it's normal. But that's what makes it fascinating about it. It's not fascinating in a good way. It's fascinating as in, holy shit, why do you think that's okay? But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. So if you do have any other questions, if you do want to know more, and maybe if you don't need to have that one-on-one coaching, but you do have some questions of where you're at and how to move forward, then I do also have those Q&A sessions where you can just jump on and just book a session where we can just go through a few questions on how to deal with things in a bit more of an effective way. So jump on and book that one as well, or alternatively, if that's what you feel would help you more. And that also is in the show notes. So thanks again, guys. I'm going to wrap it up, and I really hope you got something productive from this episode. If you're loving the show, please give me a review, give me a little 5-star, give me a comment, give me some feedback, share it with your single parent friends, because that's how it gets heard in the podcast community. Thank you, everyone. And thank you all for coming back week after week. And until next time, I'll be in your ears then.
Thank you for joining us on the Life After Plus One podcast. If you loved what you heard today and looking for some further support, then jump onto our website, lifeafterplusone.com. Plus, don't forget to check out our Instagram page for further resources and inspo. You can find all the links in the show notes. And remember, you're not alone on this path. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. And in the meantime, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep exploring your amazing life after plus one.